Hi, welcome back to Manohar Academy. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the package scope. We know private and public, but now we are going to learn about package scope. In the previous lesson, we have learned what is package. Basically, we know that what is a package. It is nothing but a container or a collection of classes that work together that are placed into the same group or same package. So we know what is package, and we know how to include a class inside a package, and also we know how to compile them. We know what is the fully qualified name of a class, the package name plus the class name. So we know all those things. But from the beginning, if you remember, we were mentioning this particular point. The packages provide this particular advantage, that is, they provide the ability to hide some classes and expose some. So also I mentioned that package scope in that lesson, but I don't remember whether I mentioned it or not. But the thing is, we need the ability to hide some classes and to expose some classes. So whenever we are developing, we will be creating many classes. So for example, I am creating some API or application library. So I don't want every one of those classes accessible to outside world or accessible to the public, because I want to keep lot of implementation private. I don't want others to be depending on those implementations. I want to make sure I can change it anytime and no one should be accessing those implementations or those classes. So I should be able to hide some classes in a package, and that is where the package scope comes into picture. So now let's come to our package scope and let's talk about this package scope. Package scope applies to classes as well as the member fields and member methods. So class members. I repeat, the package scope applies to the classes as well as class members. Okay. Till now we are talking about the source file name, or the file name of the class should be same as the class name. For example, hello world, whenever we were writing hello world program, the file name is hello world.java and the class name is hello world, and we said that the class name should be same as the file name. That is not completely true. It is true to some extent, but it is not completely true. We will see when it is true, when it is not true. But first of all, remember that in a source file, let's say the file name is student.java, we can define any number of classes. It's not that we need to define only one class in this file named student. We can define any number of classes, but only one of them can be public. Okay, so in a source file, for example, in this case student.java, even though we can define any number of classes, n number of 2, 3, 4, any number of classes, but only one of them can be public. And when that public class is present, the class name should match the file name. So in the student.java, there can be only one public class if it is present. If it is present, its name should be student, because whenever the public class is present, the file name should match the class name. Okay. At the same time, the public class is not a must. So all the classes that are present in this file, they all can be non-public. So whenever we say non-public, we mean package scope or package access. And we don't need to have that public class at all. If it is present, it should have the same name as the file name. So that is the only limitation. So another way of saying is, in a package, if we have 5 source files, then we can have at most 5 public classes. We are restating the same thing, that in a class there can be only one public class. But there is no limit on the non-public classes. That is what we meant when we say we can define any number of classes. Okay, so far so good. Also, one more thing is, we know public, private when it comes to member fields, that is instance variables, class variables, instance methods, class methods. So we know there that there is public and private, but here coming to classes, there are no private classes, or at least top level classes, till we learn about something called inner classes or member classes. Till then, we can stick to this fact that there are no private classes that are top level. Whatever we have been defining till now, or whatever we learned till now, they are all top level classes. We will understand what is non-top level class when we come across. Okay, so far so simple. So now the thing is, the public classes, they can be accessed from other packages also. So let's say we have student.java and we have included this class in package 1. But because it is public, it can be accessed from package 2 also. That we are going to see very soon. And non-public classes that are, I will show you what is non-public class. They are visible only inside the package. They are not visible outside the package. So for a class, if you, before the class keyword, if you give public, then it is a public class. If you don't give the public, then it is a non-public class. Because non-public classes are visible only inside the package, they are called package scoped, or they are said to have package access, package level access. Okay, now we are done talking about package scope and the classes, how the package scope affects the classes. Now we are moving a bit deeper and we are talking about the package scope and the class members. We know the class members, right? The fields, the methods, all those things. So these class members can have private scope. So if they are private, we know that they are accessible only inside that class. They are not even available outside that class. Only inside the class they can be accessed. We also know the public one. So whenever it is public, they can be accessed from other classes, other packages, everywhere. But as we are talking about members, the public members will be available only if the class is public in other packages. If the class itself is not available because of the package scope of the class, even the members are public, they won't be available. The class has to be available first, only then you can access these public fields. Coming to the package scope. So just like the package scope and classes, the package scoped member fields, they are accessible to the classes that are inside the same package. They are not available outside the package. So here as well, to make something package scoped, we should not mention the private or public keyword. So if you don't mention private or public, then it is package scoped member field or member method. If we have to mention them in the order of accessibility based on the visibility, the first one is private. Private is accessible only inside the class. Next is package. Sorry for the spelling mistake. Next is the package. So it is available only inside the package. Next is public. It is available inside the class, inside the package, and even outside the package also. So this is the order of the visibility of these different scopes. Now let's go to IDE and see the package scope in action. Now I am going to create a new project so that it will be easy for you to remember. So let me create a package and I'm going to name it learn. First I have to select the Java application, then I can give it the name learn package scope, and I don't want any main class. Sorry for the spelling mistake again, but let it be there. Okay, so now here there is default package. So if I include any class without the package declaration, then it's going to come here. So let me show you that. New Java class, and the class name is default package class. So here if you see, it doesn't have the package declaration. So now let me create one more package. So when I create a package, obviously the IDE is going to create that folder for me. So, and that folder will be created here. This is a project directory, and inside project directory P1 folder will be created for package P1. Okay, I created one package. Let me create one more package so that we can understand it well. So I created one more package. So inside package, let me create two classes. So first class will be package1 class 1. Okay, here you can see the package statement. So it belongs to the package P1, so it has the package declaration. Also, if you see here, the class is public class, though. So the public class name, that is P1C1, should match the source file name. So let me create one more class and I will call it P1C2. That is nothing but package1 class 2. Okay, we have package1 class 1, package2 class 2. So in both cases, we can see that there is only one public class and the class name matches the file name. So now let me go to P1C1 and let me show you that we can create more classes inside this one. So this particular class has more than one, this particular source file has more than one class. So it can have any number of classes. So it has 3 classes now, but only one of them is public. At the same time, the class need the source file need not have the public class also. So in this case, there is no public class inside the package, but that is okay, because if there is a public class, then only the class name and the file name should be same. But if there is no public class, that is fine. So there is no compilation error, as you can see here. Okay, but let me change it back. So I want one public class in package1 P1C1 file, also one public class in P1C2 file. Okay, inside P2 package, let me create 2 more classes. I will call them package2 class 1 and package2 class 2. So here also it is obvious that we can create multiple classes. So we understood the initial points. So what are those initial points? In a source file, we can define any number of classes. So here we can see that we defined many number of classes. The next point is, but only one of them can be public. So if I try to create this class also as public, so we are going to get a compilation error. So this says the P1C3 is public should be declared in the file named P1C3. So if it is a public class, it should be in its own package. Other way of saying, in a package, in a file, there can be only one public class. So if I want to make this one also public, it should be in its own file and the file name should be P1C3. Okay, so that is clear that in a file there can be only one public class. So what is the next point? The source name should match the public class name. So let me make P1C3 public instead of P1C1. So again, we are going to get the same error. So if P1C3 is public, it should be defined in its own file. Okay, or else I can rename this file name as P1C3. That will do. So that is the other one. So the next point is public class is not mandatory. So here I don't have any public class, but I didn't get any compilation error at the same time. So we don't need to have that public class. If at all it is present, it should be in its own file. Okay. So this is same thing. Like also there are no private classes. So for example here, if I give private, there is going to be compilation error. So it says modifier private not allowed here. So this is called access modifier because it is limiting the accessibility. So it is called access modifier and it is not, it shouldn't be there, private. There are no private classes which are top level. Okay, now the next point is public classes can be accessed from other packages. So now we know that P1 package has P1C1, P1C2, also P1C3 and P1C4. So inside this other package, let's see whether which P1C1 is available or not, P1C2 and P1C3, all those classes. So let's create public static void main. So, or we can write any other method also, that is fine. If you want, we can write another method. It need not be main method, it can be any method. Or let's just create a method, public method 1. Oh, it shouldn't return anything. Let's say it doesn't return anything. So this is some method that we created. Okay, inside this, let's create P1C1 object. Okay, let's do the import. So it went fine. Let's see whether P1C2 is available or not. So this is also available. That is because the public class, these are public classes, P1C1 is public, P1C2 is public. But coming to P1C3 and P1C4, they are not public. So now if I try to access that P1C3, which is in another package, but it is not a public one. So here we can clearly see that it can't find it. Okay, let's say that is because we don't have import. That is not true. I tried to import, I tried to do the import, but it did not allow. So let me add the import explicitly. Now if you see here, P1C3 is not public in P1 and cannot be accessed from outside the package. Because it is not public, it is not accessible outside the package. It is accessible only inside the package. That we can see here. That we can see here by writing some code. So here let's write public method 1 and let's say it returns void. Another way of saying it doesn't return anything. Sorry. Okay, now it's good. So let's see whether P1C3 is available here or not. Okay, here we are not getting any compilation error, but if we try to access the same class from other package, we are not able to access, and the error message clearly says that P1C3 is not a public class, in P1 and cannot be accessed from outside the package. That's what this particular statement is talking about. Public classes can be accessed from, public classes can be accessed from other packages the way we are seeing here, but non-public classes are not available outside the package. They are available only inside the package, and for the same reason they are called package scoped or said to have the package access. So we have seen about all these points here. So now let's move on to the fields. So in the P1C1, let's create few fields. I'm going to create private field. All of them are going to be private field. The next one is public. And also I am going to create one package scoped string. Okay, so how do we create package scoped fields? So just like the classes, where are the classes? Okay, if we don't mention public, it is going to be package scoped. Here also, if you don't mention public or private, then it's going to be package scoped. So now here we already know that P1C3 is not available. So let me comment that part. On P1C1, let's see what is available and what is not available. On P1C1, I can see public field, but I don't see other ones. So for example, if I try to access The private one, obviously I can't access that one because private fields, they are not visible outside the class. So here you can see that private field as a private access, so it is not available outside the package. So let's see the other one, that is package scoped. So even package field also not available. So it also says it is not public. Package field is not public and private field is not, has private access. So they are not accessible outside the package. So that is what it says, right? Private scope, they are accessible only inside the class. They are not accessible outside the package. So now the second one, let's see the package scope. So if I do the same thing in P1C2, which is in the same package, okay, I need to define the variable P1C1 first. Okay, now only the thing, we can access public fields and package fields because the package fields are available in the same package, but private fields are not available. So let me do the same thing here. Here let me create one method. So if you see here, we don't get any compilation error. So here is the final digest. Okay. So if something is private, for example this one, it is accessible only inside the class. It is not accessible outside the class, that is in the same package also. So here, even though the P1C2 is in the same package, it is not accessible because private fields, they are accessible only inside the class. Then coming to the public fields, they are accessible inside the class as well as they are accessible inside the package also. Okay, so now we know about private and package, and public fields, they are accessible everywhere. So here there is no issue accessing the public field from the other package also. Then if a class is not available, for example P1C3 is not available here, so even though I import and I do this one, I can't access anything on P1C3 because P1C3 itself is not available. So I can't find any of those things because, as I said, P1C3 itself is not available. If the class is not available, even though if it has some, for example, let's say it has some public fields. Here in the P1C3, let me create some public field, public string 1. So even there is a public field, it is not accessible here. So I can't get any of those fields because the class itself is not available. So even the public fields from that class are not available. So that is what I am trying to mention here. The public scope members, they are accessible everywhere provided the class is visible. Okay, that is all about package scope. It is very easy to remember as long as you understand the package. What is package? So package is nothing but the container for all the classes that work together, or they provide the similar functionality and they should go together. And you should be able to understand the accessibility, like if it's private, it is accessible only inside the class. If it is package scoped, it is accessible only inside the package. And if it is public, it is accessible outside the package also. So that is all from this lesson. I hope you understood you get something from this lesson based on about the package scope, also about private and public scopes. Last but not least, if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. If you are benefited from this video, please make sure you like this video and you share it with your friends so that they can also watch, they can also learn. See you in the next lesson. Thank you.